Hello friends, my name is Anurag Jain. I'm developer advocate with Thales. In this second part of the video series of adding compliance to web applications without changing code, we are going to look at the UI layer that will provide an interface for the user to provide or input the sensitive information and a backend user to view the user information in plain text. So in the last part, we created the API layer using Spring Boot that was storing the information in the backend Mongo database. In this part, we will be looking at a UI application written in React and Express that will interact with those APIs that we created in the first part. So I have already cloned the code from GitHub repo. The link of that repo will be available as part of the video description. But in this, I have already imported the code, and I have, I'm using Visual Studio Code to view or make any changes to this particular code. Let me just zoom in a bit. So this is the package.json file. I'm leveraging some libraries like Axios and concurrently, and some of these APIs. Sorry, the modules to write my code, the React application, and I'm leveraging Express.js to make the backend API calls to the Spring Boot API endpoints. So as we saw last time in the Spring Boot application, we actually created two API endpoints. One is to list the credit cards, and another one is to store it. So this is a get API, and the second one is post API. So that's what we are doing. We have created corresponding Express endpoints, which internally are making the get or post call to the Spring Boot API endpoints, which is running on localhost 8080. And this Express server is running on 3001. I have updated my package.json file to run both the Express server and this React UI client in a single command, which is npm run dev. I've created a couple of layout files. So, we will provide two different views. One is the backend view. So let's just call it backend menu. So one is to, where a backend executive in the bank or the e-commerce backend guy, he is logging in into his system and viewing the user's detail. So right now everything will be visible as plain text, but that's our end goal, to be able to transparently encrypt that information. The other layout is for the user, which can add a card or update the card on the website, and then he can also view his card information or other sensitive information like SSN or date of birth and those kind of things, and then a logout. I am doing very simple authentication here. So the user can either be backend or user. So I am verifying the user login against a couple of hard coded values with the password as admin. And if the user login is successful, I'm just encoding the username and password to a base 64 encoded format and storing that in session storage. I'm going to pass this credential or token to the backend API as well. And we will later on see how data protection gateway from Thales actually uses these authorization headers, and they can be JOT or basic auth. But how data protection gateway can use these authorization headers to get the user information and reveal the sensitive information according to the policies set in CipherTrust Manager. So I'm going to run this app, using a single command, which is npm run dev. And as I've defined in my code, it should take the user to the login page first. So I'm going to log in, as the backend operator first with the credentials that I have hard coded in my app. So right now, this backend executive or the administrator is not seeing any information because at the current moment there is no card details stored in the database. So let's go back to the admin view, sorry, the user view, and let's add a new card here. So I'm just going to put some random values for the sake of this demo, and see the state of the data. And let me add this. So as you can see, the information is now available. If I refresh this get API, I'm seeing the information in plain text. I can go to MongoDB and I can see all the information is now stored, and it is stored as plain text value, and I can see that information in my view, as well as I should be able to see the same information in the backend user view as well. So yeah, data is now going from the UI layer to the Express controller in between, and then to the backend Spring Boot APIs, eventually into the Mongo database as plain text. In the next parts, or next in the coming up parts, we are going to see how we can just add data protection gateway to this application as this. And when we introduce data protection gateway, we will not change any code on these application side, neither on the Spring Boot API side nor on the UI side. And we'll see how a data protection gateway can transparently encrypt the data which is flowing as part of these REST API calls. But yeah, till then, you please feel free to look into the GitHub repository to pull the code and try it at your own pace, and see if you can achieve the same interface that we have achieved so far. And then in the coming up parts, we will look into how we can dockerize these applications and how we can add the data protection gateway. If you like the content, please like or subscribe to our channel. Until then, I hope you find these things useful and you will try to learn or proceed at your own pace. See you soon. Thank you for listening to my video again.